So today you are going to learn about the anatomy or the parts of a complex sentence. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to identify an independent clause, dependent clause, and a complex sentence. And you'll also be able to create your own complex sentences. Okay, let's get started. So you should have this guided notes paper right in front of you that is entitled Anatomy of a Complex Sentence, so that you can take notes while you are watching the video. Alright, so let's get started. So at the top of this paper, we have a sentence that says, "It is important to have good friends because they can help us through hard times." This is a complex sentence. I have an independent clause and a dependent clause that is connected together, which makes this sentence a complex sentence. So let's look at the first part of the sentence and identify if it's independent clause or if it's a dependent clause. So the first part says, "It is important to have good friends." That part of the sentence is considered an independent clause. The reason it is independent is because I have a subject, I have a verb, and I have a complete thought. It can stand on its own. When you're independent, you can stand on your own. So just like with our sentences, if they can stand alone and they don't need anything else to make them complete, they are independent. So it is important to have good friends. That is an independent clause. Now let's look at the rest of the sentence. It says, "Because they can help us through hard times." Because they can help us through hard times. That part of the sentence is considered the dependent clause. The dependent clause has the subordinating conjunction, which is also known as the woovis word, and that is the word because. It also has a subject, which is they, and it also has the verb, can help. But the reason it is a dependent clause is because it cannot stand on its own. This portion of the sentence needs the independent clause so that it can stand alone or stand and work together. So the definition of a complex sentence is a complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses, which we just saw in our previous example. So now let's look at a checklist for independent clause. So to help you identify if a portion of a sentence is indeed independent, it has a subject and a verb, and it can stand alone as a sentence. So if it satisfies those two check marks, then it is indeed an independent clause. So let's look at the dependent clause checklist. So for a dependent clause, if it begins with a subordinating conjunction, or also known as an woovis word, has a subject and a verb, and if it cannot stand alone because it must be connected to an independent clause, then it is in fact a dependent clause.